Good afternoon, everybody. This is Adrienne Montgomery with ERP VAR, and I am so pleased to be joined today by Brackus Blum, Starship, and ApS Payments. We're featuring Sage 100 Cloud Manufacturing job management software for Sage 100 Cloud, and Starship will be talking about shipping automation, and ApS Payments will be talking about payment automation, along with Joe Genders talking about the manufacturing automation in Sage 100 Cloud. Thank you so much for joining us. Those of you who just joined, we really appreciate you spending your time with us today. Brackus Blum will be presenting Sage Manufacturing. Joe Genders, he's the president over there at Brackus Blum. Matt St. John, sales executive over at Starship, will be presenting Starship. And Patricia Benitez, channel account manager over at APS Payments, will be demonstrating payment automation. And just a couple items about the companies. Brackus Blum is a leading Sage 100 Cloud manufacturing reseller in the Midwest. They've been selling and implementing Sage products for over 25 years. And they are a top Sage reseller nationwide, but they're present in the Midwest region. We have Starship with us, and Starship is a shipping automation solution with Sage 100 Cloud. They are a UPS Ready partner, Platinum FedEx compatible solution. They automate shipping via small parcel, regional, and LTL, and they have market-leading ERP shipping integrations with not only all the Sage products, Sage 100, Sage 300, Sage 500, and Sage X3, now Sage Enterprise Management. They have integrations with Microsoft Dynamics, Acumatica, QuickBooks, so very proven, mature shipping automation solution. And APS Payments is an integrated payment solution provider. They'll get you the best rate when they take all the information from Sage 100 and serve it up to those credit card processing companies. And all that information will qualify if it's business to business for our level 3 credit card processing. And just a little bit about the workflow today. We're going to be talking about how an order, it can be estimated and proposed through job ops. And all that information will come into Sage 100 to facilitate the engineer to order manufacturing. And all those details will be passed over to Starship, where Starship will pick the best carrier based on all the rules of the shipment, the location of the customer, the cost of the shipment. And then APS Payments will get you the best credit card processing rate. So I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Joe. He's going to kick it off today with job ops. Thank you so much, Joe.
All right. Thank you, Adrienne. Today I'm going to show a prototype of a sales order and work ticket that I had done with Sage 100 Cloud Manufacturing for an engineer to order company. It's a good example of how Sage Manufacturing can be used for both project management and for manufacturing purposes. A lot of features I'll cover today we'll be able to apply to other situations. I mean, you can think out of the box, and a work ticket can be used for things like internal projects, research and development projects, fixed asset capitalization, and a lot of other non-manufacturing purposes, just because of the power that it can do. So I'm going to start out, I'm in order entry here, Sage order entry, where I had already created this. So I started out with a line item for just a generic engineer to order system, and then I had created a work ticket on that. Within that work ticket, I mean, I was able to build the progress billing stream. This customer had a pretty complicated one, 25% down payment, 25% after design approval, and blah, blah, blah. They were milestone billings that were at certain points in the process. So what we're able to do, I'm going to drill into the work ticket, we actually built those milestone billings then into the routing of the work ticket, essentially, or the steps in the work ticket. So if I click here and sort by my activity, we're going to see I have all these different milestone billings that are inserted at all different points in the process. And then when I sort back by my steps here, I can see that we have a down payment to kick it off, and then we'll start designing the system. And then after we get the approval, we'll bill them again on the design approval. So I'll show a dashboard a little bit later where we'll be able to use that to know when the next billing is ready to be triggered. A lot of times when I talk to companies, when they have projects like this with Milestone Billings, they have a challenge of knowing when to actually build the next release. So they usually have to go around and talk to the project manager. But if we did build that into the project management of the work ticket, we're able to handle that quite easily. If I go back to the order here, the different colors of the different billings tell you something too. Red means that that's already been billed and released. If it's been green, it's been released for billing, so it's been approved. It'll go on the next invoice. And the other billing items in black, those are ones to be released in the future. So if I go back into my work ticket, another cool thing we can see related to invoicing is every invoice that we've invoiced against this project, we're able to drill into a little invoice summary here, and then we also can drill down and actually pull up that invoice. So it helps manage that very easily, and you can see that. Other things we can organize within a work ticket, we can have attachments. So any collateral related to this project that might go in a shop packet or that is related to it in any way can be organized here. Here's an example where I have the link to the CAD drawing for this project. Obviously, it's not maybe what this project is, but it's a CAD drawing. I'm able to easily pull that up and see it. And then other things, if you have exploded bill of materials, wiring schematics, product images, whatever it might be, can be easily accessed. We also can launch emails from here. If we wanted to have a template to give the customer a status update as to how the project was working, we'd be able to pick a pre-configured template and launch it and have it populated with some of the information. So go back. So as I go back to my steps here, you can see one of our first steps is designing the system. What I did here was we assigned this step to a certain person. So this is showing selecting the engineer that's going to be in charge of designing the system. And then what we also can do is have create a Business Insights Explorer view that will filter out those design steps and also sort it by the assigned to. So now I have a nice simple engineering schedule. It shows Tom and Bob what projects that they need to design, and they can see their budgeted hours and their actual hours, and can also see the status of it. So that's a very simple way we can schedule the engineering department. So Tom, the engineer, will be able to post his time into here. We can capture all the hours and all the costs. He also can make status changes as to when he's working through the design process as to what the status is, whether it's in process, whether it's completed. So, and we can see the most current status on the dashboard. What's also can be very helpful is, in this case, where I need an approval from the customer. So I built in a pre-production step for the customer design approval. If I go to the step status here, I can see the date and time that we sent out the quote, and I can see the time that it was sent back and it was actually approved by the customer. Or we could have maybe had a status here where maybe they needed some change, we had to resend it and get a new approval. So all this information then feeds back to our into Business Insights, where we can take a look at this project and kind of slice and dice it how we like. So as I look at my dashboard here, I can see that our 25% down payment, that's been invoiced. I can see that the design of the system that was assigned to Tom has been completed. I can see that the quote and design approval has been approved. So we're really at that next step for our next milestone billing then to release and invoice that. So building these different dashboards can be helpful in managing different aspects of the project. So what the next part that we put in here was we decided to assemble the bill of materials in two different steps. They had their bill of materials that were just component items, and then they wanted to organize sub-assemblies separately. This can be done in a lot of different ways. Sometimes an engineered order company might want to break it out between mechanical and electrical type items, and that may make sense. However, there's a benefit to actually building the bill of materials into the production steps, which are my 200 series of steps. Once we schedule the job and those different operations have a start date, when we have materials on those steps, the required date of that materials is the start date of that step. So that all enters into our material planning and can make our material planning a little more precise, especially when companies have projects that may go over many weeks or many months. Having that more date-sensitive material planning can obviously help manage inventory better and manage cash flow. So in an engineered order situation too, we have many times we may be designing the project in a CAD software. We're able to import that bill of material right into the steps, so that wouldn't have to be re-entered at all. So another thing we could do is a lot of times companies will have outside operations. Right here I have a step for an outside service. If I go into that, I can take a look at what we're doing. In this case, it's heat treating. Now, so we set up a miscellaneous item for that, and we can see down in the bottom that it's linked to a purchase order. So this will allow us to manage that outside purchase and know the status of it. And then when we receive against that PO, it'll go into our heat treating step of this work ticket. We're able to see that. So in managing those outside purchases, the system also shows me my open purchase order commitments here by the step, or if I do a work ticket summary, I can see all my outstanding purchase orders for this project. Another way to look at this that someone could customize for their own purposes is, once again, we can do a Business Insights Explorer dashboard here, where I'm showing any purchase orders that are linked to a current work ticket. So here's my sales order demo that I've been showing, and here's those 3 purchase orders that are on various steps. And then I can see the status of how many have been ordered, how many have been received. We can also see the required date. So this could be a great tool for the project manager to help manage and make sure that all their outside purchase orders are on track. You also can see here in this example, I had one purchase order was an actual buy to order item. An outside service, I used a miscellaneous item, which makes a lot of sense in that situation. And then we also can use special items or star parts. And a good reason to use that might be if it's a special order one-off item that we're never going to buy again. It's not necessary to create an item master. Having that star part as a component on a work ticket and linked to a purchase order works just fine. We can create it on the fly, and then the purchase order will direct that cost right into the work ticket and roll up into the cost of the project. So back in my work ticket, we also can do simple scheduling of like service and installation work. Here in my step 700, we have an on-site installation, and I have this assigned to bill. So just like I made a dashboard for the engineers to know what they need to do and work on and when and what the budgeted hours are, we could just as easily do a dashboard for the installation crews, and we can see who's assigned to it and when they should be doing it. A lot of times when you're doing a field install, you may have incur some costs that you just run out and buy something for the job. The system has the ability to enter an AP invoice into the system without a purchase order and link it directly back to the job and put the cost into the job. So the software, also available is a field service and dispatch module. So if you want to get a little fancier with scheduling and managing the service and installation process, and especially if the company would need service agreements with preventive maintenance schedules going on, the field service module does an awesome job of all that. But if someone just requires simple installation, this works just fine. So another example of where our within the within each step of this work ticket, we're able to get a little profit snapshot of a certain step within the job, but then we also can roll it up into the entire work ticket and see how we're doing with the job overall. So it'll give us our budget actual, also calculate a projection and show us all of our cost components, revenue, and our profit. But another way we can slice and dice this if we want to make ourselves a little bit of a custom look. Once again, back in Business Insights, instead of pulling in some of the project management related information, we can pull in all the budget and actual costs and compare that and do any calculations that we might be to kind of track how we're doing from a profit standpoint on that job. And then once the project is complete, we can automatically have an equipment asset record made in the system. So for anything that we sell that we might be servicing or doing subsequent warranty work on, we can have this record automatically be created. And in the beginning, it'll track any serial number that it has. It'll track our warranty expirations. If it's covered on a service agreement, it notes that. It notes who the customer is. We have the ability to also change the customer. If we built something custom for someone, but then that company was acquired by a different company, or maybe they sold the asset to someone else, we can switch this to be a different customer. It'll keep all the life-to-date information here. That would be important from a servicing standpoint. And it also does track who the initial sale was, so we still do see that. And then the benefit here is that when this record's initially created, we'll be able to, we see in the summary transactions here, the cost and revenue related to that initial time that we would have sold that. And then we have drill down capabilities to drill into the invoice. And then from there, we can drill into the work ticket and see all the details of actually what was done on that project. You'll be able to see the components that were used, any serial or lot numbers, who worked on what notes were made. You can see the attachments. So, and that's real beneficial. And then any subsequent service or warranty work would be logged in here. So it's able to maintain a life-to-date history related to that project. And then that can be very beneficial. So that's pretty much all I wanted to cover today. So I guess we work with resellers and end users to help implement and support Sage manufacturing, Sage production management, and job ops. So if anybody has any questions, please feel free to reach out to me, and I'd be glad to help you out. So thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you, Joe. And Matt, if you could take it away with Starship.
Sure thing. Thank you, Adrienne. Again, my name is Matt St. John, the sales executive here at B Technologies for Starship, and really appreciate everyone taking time out of their day to join our webinar. And today we're going to go through and show you how to process a shipment using Starship. I'm also going to be using our new web user interface. So those are currently used to Starship. We have an original client interface, but this is now our new web UI. So on the screen is the Starship web UI, and nice thing with Starship as a shipper, especially with the integration to Sage 100, I have the ability to work just inside of Starship. So technically, I do not need access to Sage. I don't need Sage installed on my shipping machines. And basically from this screen, as you see here, I can pull by sales order, customer, or even by invoice numbers. If my picked sheets or whatever I'm having to be shipping against are barcoded, I can scan in that information just using a regular wedge type plug and play scanner. Of course, I can also come down and manually select a shipment. So here, I'll just grab this one order. And what Starship's going to do is it's going to map in and bring in all the shipment order header as well as the line item detail. So Starship's multi-carrier, multi-mode. We have integrations with over 2 dozen carriers, and that is parcel as well as LTL, 3PL services. So you're going to be able to process your parcel shipments, LTL shipments, international shipments, all within from inside of Starship. So really kind of walk through these little tabs. First off, one being the sender. This is just the sender information. So the company we are pulling the order from out of Sage 100. Starship out of the box supports multiple companies as well as warehouses and or locations. So I drill down in here. We also support drop shipments or blind shipments. So if anyone needs to, show the shipment is coming from a different company, we could set this up so it's automatically changing it. But as you can see, we can show different ship tos. So I'm just going to switch that back to my main company. Recipient, that's just the ship to from the sales order in this case. Starship will do address validation. We validate ZIP+4, and we will validate the commercial residential flag as well. And then transportation, this is automatically being selected based off of the ship via, again, from this sales order. So Starship can help streamline if anyone's doing third-party or collect shipments, where we could have it set up where it comes in, automatically changes the billing type to third-party or collect, and then automatically brings in the customer's account number, or that all that information can actually be stored within inside a Starship. Okay, so really Starship, name of the game is to streamline your shipping process. Any of the shipment options, shipping fields, we can help automate. We can set as default. So for example, here, the UPS Quantum View Notify, I have my system set up. Yep, every time it's going to use it. I'm bringing in email addresses, but I have mine set up only to use the UPS email if there was a delay or an exception in the shipment. Okay, and I'll talk about why my system's set up like that in a little bit. Now down in the packaging in line items, so I'm just going to drill into the packaging here. So this is where our line item detail comes in, and here I'll just drill down in these two different packaging types. One thing that's happening in my system is I have a packaging scenario, so Starship has automatically packaged this blanket into a box that I've named blanket. All right, so Starship can automatically learn these, or I can manually set them up, but that way Starship's smart enough to know, hey, the blanket's being shipped. I know every time they ship it, it goes into a blanket box. Okay. My remaining items, no packaging scenario, so I just have them coming into a default or the custom package. So from here, I can assign a different box. Now Starship has a database where you can set up your own packaging type, and that can be bags, boxes, bales, pallets, what have you. We also can link in and show you the carrier if they has certain box types. You could select those, especially like with USPS, all the different packaging types. You could select those. From here, I can also start moving items around. Maybe I know the pillow fits into the blanket box. I can, as you see, can simply drag and drop. Next door here is the actual weight. So systems can be set up different ways. My system, I'm actually just pulling the weight from inside of Sage. If you have a scale, of course, you can manually type in the weight or even integrate the scale and have it automatically bring the weight into Starship. We can also use Starship's database for weights as well. And next to the actual weight is the build weight. So as you see the difference here, I'm saying 2 pounds. This is actually saying 19. So the build weight is the dimensional weight, in this case, based off of UPS's calculation. Dim weight's a big deal nowadays. So when we actually ship and process this, Starship's going to send it out at the 19 pounds instead of the 2. So you're not later on going to get that bill from UPS that says, hey, you sent this out at 2 pounds. It should have been 19 due to dim weight. And here's the adjustment fee or the difference. Okay, so it's going to always be sent out at the correct dim weight. And then I'll actually just drill out of this one, and we're going to drop down into the line items. So line items, again, just the line item detail from the order. As I mentioned, Starship does have a database where it will store your inventory items as well. Reason we do this, for example, my system item description, unit of measure, weights, values, all that's coming from inside of Sage. Now Sage, a lot of Sage systems, they don't have a spot for, say, NMFC codes, or especially this one being international, all that required international data. Now, Starship, as you see here, can store all that information. We have a lookup if you're looking for Schedule B or harmonized codes. We can look up by the code by description. And of course, any of this information that I add, maybe on the fly when I'm processing a shipment, Starship will save for next time. If this information is living inside of Sage, I know starting 2018, they added the harmonized or Schedule B field, or maybe you have it living in a custom user-defined field. With Starship, very easily, we can change the mappings and have it look at those fields to bring in information. Okay, so very easy to customize the software. It's not like you have to go through development to actually change basically what I call a data map field. All right, so again, we can build our shipment from the packaging detail, or we also have a packaging assistant wizard. So we could also use this screen, and here what I'll do is just delete this, and we could have, again, our items just come in over on this side, and over here I can add a box, same thing. Maybe I know, oh, this is going to go to a medium box, and I can drag and drop. I can highlight and click this little icon here to move them over, or just dragging them in there. If this was an actual LTL shipment, there would be one more grid where I can then do box to pallet detail. Okay, so after that, if I wanted to, I can simply click ship and process this shipment, or just for the sake of this webinar, I'm just going to jump back to the main screen here and go down, and we'll minimize this to make some room. Here's the rating. So we have the total charges up top, but down below is where Starship does the live rating. So again, we have integrations with over 24 carriers, and that it will allow you to bring in and see your live negotiated contract rates that you have with the carrier. Also, as you can see, we can see published list rates. And this layout, it could be modified. Maybe I'm always doing it based off contract charges, so I don't need to see list charges. So again, this could be modified, set up per shipper, so the look and feel of Starship is the way they want it. All right. With these integrations and these calls to the carriers, again, we're returning your live negotiated contract rate. We fully support any of your contract options or even any of the shipment options. So for example, with UPS International, they have the paperless invoicing option. We fully support that. If you'd rather have UPS generate and send out the documents, you can do that as an example. Right. Total charge, just a breakdown of the charges. I'm just going to drill down because with Starship, you can also get into doing freight rules. So here, if I double click on, click on this, it's going to show me, hey, you have a freight rule. And this one happens to be, this customer is receiving 10%. And what Starship is looking at for this freight rule is I have a user-defined field. It's a simple checkbox. It lives in customer maintenance. So because it's selected, the customer gets a 10% discount. Now, freight rules, of course, could be percentages, they could be min-maxes, they can be flat rates. And these little trigger fields or criterias, they can go all the way down to even line item detail. So here I have one, this item's a plate, so it's fragile. We have to add additional packaging material or bubble wrap on this item. So let's add an additional $3 anytime these plates are on an order to help cover for that additional bubble wrap. Okay. All right. So bring my order in, I can get into item to box detail, and inside Starship, item to box detail is not required. So it's not going to yell at me if I try to ship a shipment without items inside a box. Of course, I'm at least going to have a wait. But when I am ready, again, I can rate. We can even set up Starship to automatically do the rate shopping for you and set up what we call ship via rules. So maybe a lot of our clients actually do, hey, you know what, Starship, you automatically rate shop my shipment and always select the least expensive carrier. Right. So when I am ready, again, from here, I can click ship and process. I can go up to the shipment dropdown and I can click control, as you can see, all the shortcuts. And here I'm just going to do ship and process. We can save it. Maybe I want to stage this, come back to it later. You can do that. But as soon as I click ship and process, what Starship's going to do is generate your shipment documents. For the sake of the webinar, again, I'm just going to preview them. And it should all pop up here. So first one being our smart label. I'm using this also for the sake of the webinar so you can see a shipping label and packing list. But most certainly you can send a shipping label to a thermal printer. Starship's packing list can also go to a thermal printer. And of course, if you wanted to, it could go to a laser printer. Okay, so box 1, box 2, documents can be customized. You can also assign printing rules for each custom document. So maybe customer ABC needs that packing list to look a certain way. Simply create a template for that customer and then assign a printing rule. Commercial invoice, so Starship can generate international documents. If this was LTL, we could do bill of lading forms, pallet labels, so on and so forth. But nice thing is all the information is automatically going to populate. And then my forms I actually customize so they're signed and dated. And then here's a NAFTA form or certificate of origin. Same thing, signed, dated. So as a shipper, all I have to do is grab these off the printer and I'm ready to move on to my next shipment, which Starship would automatically bring me right back to this screen. Again, I just previewed all the documents. So once I ship and process, it would take me right back to this screen where I can run through that process again. And real quick, I'll jump back into Sage and show you the write back. So Starship will automatically create the invoice inside of Sage. So in SO invoice data entry, I'll go to my last invoice Here's sales order 222, the one we just shipped. I'm going to go on the header. Here's the tracking right back. It's all that tracking information, carrier weights. This lives inside the correct tables inside of Sage, so you can use their tracking hyperlink, even their item to box detail if you're doing that inside of Starship. And then the freight right back, plus or minus any freight rules. And if there are some scenarios where you do not want Starship to write back freight, we can most certainly set up what we call write back rules and tell Starship not to write back freight. Also included with Starship is the ability to rate shop from sales order entry. So we will add a sales order, a little rate shop button inside sales order entry. So customer service, they really have that same ability as the shippers do inside Starship to rate shop. And also our e-notify program. As you can see, design your own custom email templates that you can send out to the customers with all the shipment information and as well as hyperlink tracking numbers. And then, of course, we have our dashboard program, which is a reporting tool. And our web UI dashboard, actually, we've added a heat map here, so I'll bring that up. But really, again, performance indicators, reports here, again, with that heat map, I can actually see where all my shipments are going to. All right, so again, that's a real quick overview. Please feel free to reach out to me if you would like to schedule a live one-on-one demo, and I'll hand it over to Patricia so she can show you how APS helps save on your credit card processing.
All righty, and thank you, Adrian, Joe, and Matt for bringing us together. Thank you again, everyone, for sharing your time with us. I'd like to begin by introducing you to APS. We are a company as unique and diverse as can be. We're composed not only of credit card processing experts, but also former analysts, bankers, compliance specialists, developers, and ERP experts. My name is Patricia Benitez, and I'm the Sage 100 Channel Manager at ApS Payments. Most of you might know my boss, the toughest, the meanest boss out there, the beautiful woman in the white jacket here on the screen, AKA my mom. So please make sure to only say nice things about my presentation or she won't hesitate to fire me. But alrighty, let's go ahead and get started. So let's dive in to how you can lower your credit card rate fee. In other words, credit card processing 101. So how many of you are aware of your current rate structure? Today I'm going to teach you which rate structure is best for you. And we can begin with the most common, flat rate pricing, which charges one flat rate across the board. I'm sure it makes it simple to reconcile, but how much are you paying extra because of this simple fee structure? I can tell you, you're paying on average an extra 43%. Moving to the next one, tiered pricing. To help you envision this model, imagine it as 3 buckets of fully qualified, mid-qualified, and non-qualified transaction. Major part of your transactions are ending up in the non-qualified bucket, resulting in higher rates and missing out on, again, an average of 43% savings. And lastly, interchange plus pricing, the most transparent model. Each separate card type requires its own hard cost, and interchange plus allows the processor to pass that hard cost from the card branch directly to you. Additionally, this model allows us to implement level 3 processing, and level 3 is what will help you lower your rate. You may be wondering what level 3 is and may have never heard about it. 80% of companies are not currently processing with level 3. And in a nutshell, level 3 processing is a program put in place by Visa and MasterCard to help American-based companies cut down costs when processing business-to-business or business-to-government cards. All it requires is a few additional fields to be sent with your transactions. And on average, small business-to-business companies save $18,000 per year on merchant account fees. Now here's an example of the additional fields required by Visa and MasterCard for level 3. And as you can see, as you go up in level, it requires more and more information. Our integration into Sage 100 will capture these data points from within your Sage software and deliver them to Visa and MasterCard on your behalf automatically, which will qualify your transactions for level 3 rates. There is no additional manual entry required. I also wanted to show you an example of an analysis and savings provided to one of our merchants. As you can see, they were on a tiered pricing model, but had they processed using Interchange Plus, we would have been able to save them an average of $1,400 per month. That's 30% off of their current bill. I have seen companies save as much as $400,000 per year once they began processing on Interchange Plus with APS. And myself, coming from a banking background with mega banks where I had daily contact with merchants, I'm a true believer of level 3 processing. And I can say I am many times more shocked with the savings than the clients are. So let me go ahead then, and I want to introduce you to our Click to Pay feature. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up here. And our Click to Pay feature enables you to use your paperless office to send out an email with a PDF attachment that will allow your customer to click on the PDF attachment and be redirected to a website where they're going to be able to make their own payments. So for the sake of the webinar, I went ahead and created my invoice and had it sent out electronically through our paperless office. And here I have in front of me the email, just like the one your customer would receive. If we go ahead and we click on this email, there will be a PDF attachment. And if we click on our PDF, it's going to show us all of our invoice information. Once we scroll down to the bottom, there will be an APS Click to Pay button. Once we click on this button, it's going to redirect us to that secured website where once again, we're going to display all of the invoice information once again, as well as the line item, and it will include a Make a Payment button. When we click on our Make a Payment button, it will give us the option to pay a full balance on an invoice, a custom amount, or we have multiple invoices on the account that are pending. They can go in and choose additional invoices. And as you can see, our totals will update right here on the top. So I will go ahead and just pay for my single invoice today. They will be able to enter a credit card number. We do also offer ACA services, so they can pay with a bank account and routing number. They can save their payment methods into a secure vault for future use. It just requires them to create a username and a password, or if they have a username and a password, they can use a previously saved payment method. Let me go ahead and enter my card number today. And submit my card. And our transaction was successful. We will receive a page showing a success message as well as a transaction ID. And this right here, ladies and gentlemen, is Click to Pay. It's as simple as that. Let me go ahead and step back over here. In addition to our level 3 and our Click to Pay feature, we do also offer daily automatic batch reporting. We are multi-currency capable. We do not charge any fees for installation, implementation, maintenance, setup, or support. We do also have live 24/7 live support, as well as integrated EMV chip readers and free PCI compliance assistance. Now here's an example of one of our clients and the solutions we were able to provide. This is one of our real life customers here at Go Home Distribution, and they were facing some challenges such as improving business processes for internal and external customers, needing the ability to offer several payment options to clients, as well as looking for a solution that was integrated into Sage 100. We were able to implement ApS Payments seamlessly into their Sage 100 and offered PCI compliance at no charge. We were also able to provide them next day funding to help increase cash flow, and the client was given access to robust centralized reporting for credit card transactions. As a result, they were able to improve their bottom line, streamline their credit card process, and have happier customers, as well as centralized reporting and reduction in manual entry and errors with an integrated payment solution. If you would like a free audit of your current processor's merchant statements, here are our next steps. We would just need you to send us your 2 most recent merchant statements for analysis. That way we can go ahead and get the ball rolling here. And we encourage you to take our ApS Payments challenge. If we cannot beat or match your current processor's rates, we will give you $500. But thank you so much, everyone, for your time and for sharing it with me today. And Adrian, I'd like to hand it back over to you.
Thank you so much, Patricia. Great job, everybody, with your presentations. I'm going to go ahead and flash up the contact information here. And you should see the contact information here on the screen. And I just want to say thank you so much again for joining us. We really appreciate you spending your time with us today. And we hope to see you all on a future webinar. Thank you, Matt, Patricia, and Joe. Excellent presentations. We did record this webinar, and we will be sending out a follow-up email with the recording and the contact information so you can reach out directly. Everybody take care.